Hello and welcome back to M.a.N podcast. My name is Thomas and I am the host. I don't know what you want to call me. I'm the person that created this, and I'm a lead coach and personal trainer from TS Health and Fitness. I have a fantastic guest, and I believe you are now, Graeme, my longest standing client.
Possibly, yeah. What, 136 weeks?
Yeah, I think you are. I think Jen Craig was like a few months ahead of you, but we stopped working together a little while back. But yeah, Graeme's been my longest standing client. Some of you may have seen Graeme's unbelievable transformation in photoshoot photos. Some of you may not have, and if you haven't, you should go check his Facebook page, Instagram, or my Instagram, and the photos are on there. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of different things. We're going to talk about Graeme, we're going to talk about training, we're going to talk about nutrition, and I'm going to somehow try and ask him questions about working with me and try not keep it or make it biased, because I want it to be honest. But Graeme, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're just gonna chat about you, my man.
Yeah, so I ran a business for just over 18 years, do CD and DVD printing for that. Didn't start off as that. I used to be a chef, so I kind of already know a bit about food and all this. And that's really it. I do hill walking, love the gym, yeah, just love doing stuff in life. Love culture, love going to historic places, castles. That's about it, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pry, because I've spoke to you so much and so many times. I know quite a lot about all these things, but I'm going to get you to talk as if the people that are listening have never heard them before. So you mentioned that you started your own company 18 years ago. Was that straight from school?
Mm-hmm. Almost, yeah. I originally started it was, you probably remember the skate park in Arbroath, don't you?
Yeah.
Was it Flips it used to be called?
Yeah,
I used to
yeah.
go down there with a camera. I used to video a few of the guys, and I used to then put it on like the TVs there and all this, and I liked that. So, but then I was doing other video stuff as well, and I mean it was kind of from that I started off. So it was just basically a hobby in a way. But then I got into the CD printing side just kind of out of luck, because when I was doing stuff like shows and I was getting that stuff done elsewhere, I was finding it was expensive, and I thought, wait, I can do this myself, so I did it myself. But then other people were coming to me saying, well, could you do our stuff, because this place is too dear and you can do it for a better price. So I started it that way, and eventually went into weddings for videos. So I used to video weddings, but I stopped doing that about 5 years ago, but it was just because it was too much work. I was basically working, printing Monday to Friday, and then doing weddings Saturday, editing on Sunday, and then back to this on Monday. So there was no time. There had to be eventually a balance between, well, your own life and work. So it was just getting quite a bit stressful. You know yourself how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you end up working almost 24 hours, and you think there's no time for anything else.
Yeah, totally. And so you, with the CD printing, was that DVDs? Was that music CDs? Was that?
Yeah, so it was a mix. Originally it was DVDs, because a lot of the stuff was like video related, so it had to be DVD contents. Then eventually it was more bands, so you had musicians, but I mean they vary, so you could have, you know, a band, punk, heavy metal, pop, anything like that, right up to classical. You then have people that have yoga stuff, so they'll maybe have a yoga DVD out, or you'll have meditation CDs, so you'll have that, training CDs, DVDs. I mean, it's incredible some of the stuff that comes along, and you think, I didn't even know that existed, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of it. So customers vary, obviously. You get some customers getting small orders, some wanting bigger orders, some in the UK, some, you know, in Europe, America, Australia, that kind of thing. So yeah, so just over the years I kind of obviously had to learn all this in myself, because I never did college for it. I just learnt as I went along, and don't get me wrong, at the very start I did some major mistakes, and it was costly for me, but obviously that's how you learn. You make mistakes, you learn from it, and then you think, don't do that again.
Yeah. If you were to give someone starting out or wanting to start their own business and something, because I guess CD printing is quite a niche thing, isn't it? There's a big crowd, big audience for it, but it's very much. If you were to give someone advice,
I mean, when I started it off, what was that? If I gave advice, what?
Yeah, if you were to give someone some advice just starting off their own business, because 18 years is a long time to do it.
I don't. Honestly, it's. I personally, if I started a business now, I think I would generally find it harder than I did 18 years ago, and I think it's just because there's so many people, entrepreneurs out there wanting to do it, and it's like, and then it's changed a lot. Like, I mean, obviously, I still do this. Like you says, it's a niche market, the CD printing. I don't think I would have been able to do it now. It's just because I've got a good clientele that keeps you going. So I don't know if that would be feasible if I started that now, because, well, 18 years, a lot's changed in 18 years. I mean, you think iPhone isn't really around, I think. So, it's, I would probably say, I mean, don't give up. If you're going to start a business, a lot of people, like, they just seem to think, like, as soon as they start, they're going to be raking the money in almost the first week. That's not how it works. It takes time. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of sleepless nights and stress, and you think this isn't working, I'm doing this wrong, but I mean, you do see a lot of people, they just seem to think it's it's a money making thing straight away. It's not. It does take time. I mean, I think when I first started off, I was excited when I made my first £100 in the month, because it was like, it's £100 I've made in a month from this business doing this, so but it does. You get there eventually. But then you also get this other thing that people just automatically think every business person is a millionaire. And I don't know why. You'll get somebody will come up to you and says, "Oh, you must be absolutely rolling in it." It's like, no, it doesn't quite work that way. I mean, the business does have outgoings and expenses, and it's not everyone in business is, a millionaire kind of thing. So. Yeah.
The way I sometimes speak to people about that is, like, I'll say to, I don't know, like, say a pal that, like, works offshore. I'll be like, the person that pays for your helicopter trip out to the oil rig, the person that pays for your boiler suits, the person, like, that's who I am. Like, I have to pay for absolutely everything in the business. So, like, this money's not just, like, getting thrown at me and then there's just millions and millions and millions coming in, or millions full stop. Yeah, I always just try and talk about it, like, think about it as, like, I am the boss and, like, company owner. I just speak to,
I mean, you'll get it yourself, because you've got a business, so you'll understand that part yourself, whereas somebody will look at it and say, wait a minute, Tom's doing this, he's got this many clients, oh, he must be doing that, but then they don't think, well, he's got all his outgoings as well.
Yeah, no, they don't. People don't think about it. So, Graeme, the good thing, like, the fortunate thing for me is I know a bit about you. And I'm not sure how much detail you could go into other things. I know that you've got other little you had little side hustles, I suppose. You had some during lockdown with the puzzles.
Because well, during lockdown, obviously the CDs the DVDs not came to a massive stop, like a lot of things. But obviously there was no gigs going on, there was no dance shows going on, no fitness things, so there was not a major demand. There was still luckily stuff tipping over. And I knew at the end of this there would probably be a massive surge in orders, because there would be all these musicians stuck at home writing new pieces of music, and that's exactly what happened. Majority of the stuff when we came out of this lockdown was the lockdown album. That's what a lot of people called their albums. So it was good, like, but I seen it coming. So it was tough though. It was really tough. There was sometimes you were going through and think, you wanted to give up in a way, because it was there was obviously some support from the businesses. Unfortunately, the way my business is, a lot of the support I fell through, so I never actually got a lot of my own. I kind of had to look at something else. So I did set up an eBay shop, and what I did was I basically bought a lot of stock on auction, from retailers that had basically collapsed during COVID, and I sold it on eBay. So that actually helped massively to kind of tick over. And then as things came back again, I kind of just slowly reduced that business to the side, because I thought I wouldn't be able to cope with both of them, you know, running this again and running that too. So yeah, I still have it, but it's not on the scale it was during the lockdown. So
yeah. This is going to be a kind of hard question to answer, but that's like two businesses there that you've just seen an opportunity with. Do you think you're good at just noticing opportunity, or is there like certain things that you look for?
There were certain things I looked for when I did that. What I did was I studied the market of what I was going to sell to see if it would sell, because there was no point in having something there and it just wasn't shifting. I mean, we say, for example, trying to sell sleds in the middle of summer, it's not going to sell at all. But what I did was I bought a lot of water guns in the winter because they were really a good price, sold them in the summer. So I bought something, for example, that cost, maybe a water gun cost 20p, and I was selling it for a tenner on eBay.
Wow.
But I knew that they would sell in the summer because everybody wants them. So stuff like that, you kind of look at like, well, you know, buy it now, but you're going to use it. I mean, I was buying stuff like for Halloween, at the end of Halloween, the previous years, for example, knowing that the following year I'll have it for, you know, that one coming. So yeah.
Wait, that's amazing.
It's one of the, it's one of the things though that I suppose it's like you see it and think, oh yeah, I can see a potential of this, but can anyone else see that? You know, but that's maybe just a business mind. That's maybe how a business person works. They see something and they think, yeah, I can turn something around in this, not straight away, but maybe in 6 months' time. But then that's maybe going back to somebody that wants to start up and they think, no, I want to make money straight away. And it's like, well, you have to wait. Yeah.
Do you just get a gut feeling, or do you just like you're saying, like, do you do a bit of market research? Do you do a lot of market research, or is there things that just crop up and you're like, I like that?
Some stuff I do. I mean, I'll randomly search things, and then if I see it, I'll then have a wee bit of a quick check. But if I see straight away, I think, right, this isn't, you know, the sales. Normally it's eBay you go to. Well, I went to when I was doing that, and you would get an idea on how many. How it's more like if you see a lot of stuff selling, but there's also you're checking as well to see where it's selling from, because eBay has a lot of like overseas suppliers. So people in Asia are selling the UK, but because they can do that, they'll massively reduce the cost. But then a lot of people then don't realise that then they have to wait 4 or 5 weeks for this thing to arrive. So you've got to then think, well, they're selling that at £4, but I can't sell this at £4. I'll have to sell mine at £7. But what you're hoping is the person will buy it off of you for £7 because they'll get it in 2 days rather than having to wait 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So there was stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, there was stuff I did look at. I thought that looks good, bought it, and unfortunately it backfired, and you know, you still have it. So
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You get something called a random box on eBay, which is decent, because what you do is basically put all the random stuff you can't sell on it, and somebody else buys it that's going to sell it at a car boot sale. So
I didn't know you could do that. I'm going to look that up. A random box, is that what that's called?
Yeah, you go on eBay, it's called a random, job lots normally they're called. It's basically it's a box of stuff, and they'll sell them on eBay, and it'll just be random stuff in a box. And sometimes you strike lucky, you get really good things, and other times you think, oh, this is just a load of crap. That's
fucking brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, Graeme, so like you mentioned a couple other things that you're into, and I don't want you to talk to you about work while you're sat at work. So what came first? Were you an outdoorsy hill walker guy, or did you start going to the gym and then that led to, or was it, how did that all start panning out?
I was never really, when I left school I did go to the gym for a wee bit. It was the Saltire I went to, but I had no idea what I was doing. I was just doing my own thing. I spent half an hour on a bike, jumped on a few weights for 10 minutes and thought that's me done. You know, I was at that age you don't really know what you're doing, eh? You're kind of going to a gym and unless you've got somebody to follow. But then you think back then, I mean, well, I'm 35 now. I mean, back then you didn't have all your YouTube and Instagram stuff. You didn't have people you could say, oh, I can follow this guy's workout or see what he's doing, so I can do that at the gym. There was none of that. So there was basically, there's a machine, there's a wee diagram of somebody doing something, and you've got to work out what they're doing. So yeah,
I remember those.
I probably did that for 6 months, and then I kind of, because I was trying to do this business, so it basically started to take off. That kind of took a lot more of my time up. So majority of like 18 upwards, maybe like early 20s, I was kind of working a lot just in the business side. Didn't really go out much. I was actually late in drinking. I wasn't even a drinker. I must have been late 20s before I even started to have a drink. So
was there a reason for that? Just not interested?
Just not interested. I just didn't see any. Yeah, I think I was just more focused on the business side. Everybody else at that age was wanting to go out party and explore, obviously, nightclubs and all your other party stuff that you suppose you do at that age, but I didn't. So then eventually about 30, I decided, right, what it was I had a couple of weddings before I was 30. So it was my brother's wedding and one of my mates, and I was looking back in photos and I thought, I need to do something about my weight, because I could see myself getting fatter, and I thought, right, if I don't do something about this now, I'm going to be older and it's maybe too late. And I thought, I'm basically going to the bakeries daily, buying pies and cakes and all this kind of thing. But I mean, that's always good when you're younger, but when you start getting older, it kind of catches up. And I thought, so I ended up going to the gym around 30. So I started going to the gym again, and then I got some coaching, and then basically had like my own plan but I had a plan this time to follow, so I could follow something and then I could get that changed. So yeah, I kind of basically started from that. Then I did hill walking, and I did Ben Nevis for a charity. So I think who it was. Was it Macmillan? No, Marie Curie. It was Marie Curie. I did a charity walk with that. So I did that, and I thought, but obviously you can't just turn up to Ben Nevis car park and walk up it, because you know yourself, well, it's the biggest mountain in the UK. It's not like it's not going to be a stroll up a stroll around the park or something. So I did a few other ones, and I enjoyed that. So I've done a few Monroes and all that. Not as many as I wanted to, but I mean, you've done some yourself. You know what they're like. They're a decent day out. So
yeah, it is
you've
great.
also got to watch because the weather can change.
Especially in Scotland.
Then I mean, you could go one day, it's blue skies, and in about 10 minutes it's raining, and you're thinking, right, okay. I like exploring a lot as well. I mean, obviously Scotland is just incredible culture. I mean, you just go a wee bit out of town and you've got castles and the hills, countryside, historic buildings, fantastic walks, and through woods, and yeah, it's great. So I mean, you don't really need to go anywhere else. So I've got memberships with National Trust and Historic Scotland and all that, so you get to explore all these places that are on your doorstep. It's great.
Yeah.
Learn a bit about the history, and but then I'm one of these people that, I mean, I love going to, like, say, a castle or somebody's old mansion or something like that, but it's just picturing, thinking, being there and thinking what it was like when they were there. And some of it's incredible, because you just start picturing the stuff in your head and thinking, and they're showing you these, like, prisons where somebody basically lived in a little 6-foot box kind of thing, and this is their life, and you're thinking, they had the crap and all that in there, they had the eat in there. It's like, you think, how could, it's like, we all think, you get nowadays, people just moan at everything, and you're thinking, they didn't have that option. It was kind of like, that was it. There was no human rights back then.
No. So the fortunate thing for me Graeme, is I get to speak to you every week during our sessions, and I hear about all the places that you visit. Is there any like favourites? Is there any mansions, castles that you like are your favourites? Is there anything that you really recommend for people, especially people that are in Arbroath? Because majority of people that listen are from Arbroath.
Oh, I mean, there's the House of Dun just up the road in Montrose. I've been there a few times. I mean, they do a fantastic tour, but they're in character. So they'll be in character of the actual people that lived in the mansion. I think it's the Eskins, and it's great because then you feel like you're in character with them, and they'll go through the house and they'll tell you things like there's a door there, but you open the door and it's basically a brick wall behind it. And the only reason it's there is because they wanted the house to look the same, so they had the door there and a door there, but that door led to nothing. So I mean, it's just stuff like that. And Drum Castle up in Aberdeenshire, that's one I've been to a few times. That's fantastic. I like that one. So yeah, they're just good. So they've all got their own wee characters, their own stories. You start to realise as well that a lot of them have links to like certain kings and all that, Robert the Bruce, that kind of thing. So, and you think that you hear about different families, and yeah, it's interesting to learn basically. But I would say this area, House of Dun, is basically my favourite.
Yeah. Okay, and it's not too far. So if anybody's listening, you should go visit. And that's not a paid advertisement either. But if they want to give Graeme free tours,
no, I've not been paid by that.
So about 30, so you said 5 years ago. So about 5 years ago you started going to the gym, and was that at the warehouse gym? Was that the first gym that you, like after the Saltire, it was the warehouse gym?
Yeah, well the Saltire was like it says 18, and I kind of gave it up for a long time. I did go to the warehouse once when it was at John Street West, I think, next to a train station.
Yeah.
I used to be there. I went there once and that was it. But that's basically because I went with one of my mates, and I think he pushed me a bit hard, and for the next 2 weeks I kind of felt it.
That's like a common thing, I think.
And you get the DOMS effect afterwards, but you don't expect it for 2 weeks later, and you think, yeah, I've done something wrong here. So that kind of threw me a little bit. So yeah, if I hadn't had that, I may have been sooner. But then obviously I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this again. So I did go, but this time I made sure I got actual proper advice and training. So yeah.
And when you started at the warehouse, did you go to classes, or did you get coaching with Lee and Dan and do just weightlifting?
When I went originally, I got a plan from Lee to follow, and then I eventually asked him for a wee bit of advice. So he set up for a few PTs just to make sure I was doing everything right, because I didn't want to mess it up and find I was doing stuff wrong, and then it threw me off, and then I left again. And I mean, I found it from Lee not a few years ago that he actually didn't think I would last. He thought I would be a few months and that would be me. So he was surprised at that. It actually blew him away. But then obviously Lee found that for my size and weight, I have some silly strengths. I can lift a lot. But it's strange because I don't feel that myself. I mean, you get people saying you can lift this amount of weight, which is like almost 3 times your body weight, and you're thinking, yeah, but I'm sure everyone else can do that. But then when you start clicking that, well, wait a minute, no, not everyone else can do that. You think, yeah, okay, I suppose that's actually pretty cool. You can almost do that, and yeah. Then when you do a video or something, when you're getting a PB and you're almost at 100 bench press, I think it was 92 and a half with PB on the bench, right? And I'm 58 and a half kilo. And you're watching the video, and people comment when they watch it back and says, holy shit, you could lift more than me and all this, and it's almost 100 kilo, and but I'm thinking, yeah, but it's, I still feel like, oh no, I could do better, I could lift more. But
I guess the hard thing for you is at the warehouse there's a lot of strong guys. So when you've got Nick and Mike through in the the powerlifter bit, and they're doing 300 or whatever they can lift, stupid weights that they can lift. I guess it's easy to compare yourself, especially when you're there, or what feels like as regularly as they are. They've obviously got a different training goal. That you're like, well, why can't I do that? Why can't I do that?
Yeah, that's probably what it is. You do look at other people like them and you think, well, they can lift that, so it's like I'm just an average person and I can just lift this. But in actual fact, you're not average. But then that's that thing where you get it a lot. It's like, and you realise how other people see it as, it's like, don't compare yourself to other people, you know.
Yeah.
But you still have that in your head. It's like you do look at other people and you think they can do that, but it's like you shouldn't really. You should just really be thinking about yourself. You're there for you, no one else. And if you can lift 3 times your body weight, great. If you can lift 1 time, so that's still fantastic. That was better than what you did the day before. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you still have in your head. It's a weird thing. But I mean, I know what it's like because I get it as well. So
Yeah.
I suppose it's
So
the same
we'll put
with
it into some.
people and you think I want to do it.
Yeah, we'll put it into some context because there's a few things that we do in the gym together. So I'm like 93 kilos, 93 and a bit kilos. Graham's, what did you say you were, 56?
58 at the moment, 58 and a half.
Yeah, 58 kilos. There's a lot of things
Yeah.
that Graeme can do the same weight that I can do for the same reps. Like he does have like a, I don't want to use, is the word freak? Is that PC? Am I allowed to say that?
See, I was
He's got like,
before you even said that, I thought you're going to be, he's freakishly strong or something.
yeah, he does have a he's freakishly strong, and I don't think people, or maybe people don't notice, probably they don't, but you have like an incredible work ethic. Like you do show up to train day in, day out, and it's not like you've never came in the gym and said to me, oh, can we take it easy today? You've never ever said that, and I don't know if you ever have said that.
No.
No.
But I mean, maybe I do it because maybe it's the way because I've got a business. I don't know if it's that as well. You know, I look at it as, you know, you wouldn't get. I don't give up on my business, so you know, I wouldn't give up on that. I suppose that's determination in a way. So I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you went to the warehouse, you done like when I was coaching at the warehouse, I always remember you being you were at every class. Like you would go to all of them, you'd be lifting huge amounts of weight, you'd be swinging huge kettlebells. Like what was the transition from, was like the classes just something to add on to the sessions that you were doing?
I know I got dragged into the classes by some of the ladies in the class because I was doing a workout through in the other bit where the benches are. So like the warehouse has got like 3 kind of sections, isn't it? It's got like the bit where it's got the platforms and the squat stuff, and then it's got your middle bit where it's got the machinery, and then it's got the class bit where it's kind of more open. I think it was like I was there one afternoon and somebody came over and says, the class is starting, you coming? And I'm like, no, I'm not doing the class, and I got dragged through the class, and it was a kettlebell one, and I really enjoyed it. I thought I quite like these kettlebells, so I then went back to another one, and the next thing I knew I was doing all the kettlebell classes. But I mean, that was kind of gradual because I used to just do the afternoon ones, and then eventually I went to do the evening ones. So yeah, but I mean I love doing them. They're fantastic. So, but I mean the warehouse has got. I mean they've got kettlebells from 4 kilos up to 48. So I mean a lot of gyms don't have that. They normally have a very scarce amount of kettlebells. So.
Yeah, and it's normally like 8 to 12. Like that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't actually think I do very many with a 12 kilo. Mine's either 16 upwards. I mean, I actually remember it was me and Dan. We bought a kettlebell each. It was Dan bought. The only reason I bought a 40, the gym only went up to 40, and Dan bought another 40, so there was 2 40 kilo kettlebells. But I thought I'm wanting a 48 kettlebell because then that gives me determination to get to 48. So I did that. So I eventually worked my way up to do like a swing at 48. Because I thought if it's there, then it means I've got to do it. So I bought it.
And that mindset. So, and that mindset is why you've been able to do so many amazing things, man.
Cheers, yeah.
So, and this is one of my favourite things about you, like the humbleness. Yeah, thank you. And he genuinely is like this. He's like this all the time. Like this isn't like him trying to play it down. This is just the way Graeme is. And this is a big reason why I wanted him on the podcast, because I wanted like I said at the start, I want to talk about working together. I want to talk about him, but I need people to understand that like what Graeme can do, and when he puts his mind to it, it's phenomenal. And I guess on that note, like I want to talk about, like me and Graeme started working together about 2.5 years ago. Graeme won a competition to get some help with nutrition guidance and some online coaching. We dieted down. We had a 6-pack, didn't we, by the end of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
We had a 6-pack.
Sorry, I think you heard
And then we decided, right. No, it's okay, it's okay. Then we decided we were going to try and put on a bit more size. So we reversed out of the 6-pack. It kind of went. We put on a bit more muscle. It's a lot of muscle if you go look at his photographs. And then last year we decided, I think it was like leading into last year, we decided, right, we're going to do a photo shoot, wasn't it?
Yeah, so...
And then we'd done our...
Start of January last year. Yeah, I did that. Because I wanted to do something. I thought, I'd been doing the gym for a wee while, and I thought, yeah, I mean, the strength part's great, and I could have gone down that road, but I just didn't, it wasn't really, I wasn't feeling it at the time. I thought, I want to do something else, and I'd obviously asked you, because I'd been getting, like, coaching and that from yourself and nutritional stuff, so I asked, and we thought, photo shoot. So, yeah, January last year, we thought, we'll do that. And what was it? First weekend of January, I decided to do my shoulder. So it was like...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we had that injury that lasted...
Ages, yeah. But I mean, obviously at the time you couldn't go and see a physio because, well, they were still doing everything by phone, and you try doing speaking to a physio on the phone trying to explain your symptom. It's like, how's that meant to work? But anyway, yeah, so we worked around it. So I mean, it didn't slow anything down, I don't think. So we started that January, and then by August we started doing the cut for the photo shoot in December. Why I picked December, I'll never do that again. That was a bit cold.
It was definitely a learning curve for us both.
Oh yeah. If I ever do something like that again, make sure you do it in the warmer months. Not when it's like, but I also got really lucky because I remember doing it. We did it the first weekend, I think it was the first weekend December, and then the weekend after that's when we got that like kind of threes where it was like -11. I was so glad I did it because I think I would have been like, nah, I'm not doing it. Can I do this? So we've been training together. We spoke a little bit about some sort of like. We dieted down, and you took it like a duck to water, and we got really lean. Was it in like 8 weeks or something? We got the 6-pack, 12 weeks, and then we came out of it. Probably. Well, it kind of probably starts because I mean, what I think it was up up to just slightly. Was it 62 or something? 61 when I started doing the cut. Can't remember. I think it was. Yeah. I think it. Yeah. So it was by the time I got to about 57, I think you started seeing it come through. But I mean, yeah. So we carried on because we still had a while to go. So by the time the photo shoot came, I mean, obviously, you knew I was ready. I didn't think I was ready because obviously, like you know yourself, you see yourself every day, so you don't see any changes, and you think there's nothing changed. I'm just the same. But then when you start saying, there's a photo of you 6 months ago, there's a photo of you now, and you think, fucking hell, that's like, that's a big change, like, hey. But you still think, oh, you could do better. I did the photo shoot, in December, and I put it up on social media, and the only reason I kind of did that was more because social media does this is what you did a year ago. I could say, I can look back on this and see what I did a year ago. I didn't expect the response it got though. I mean, there were a lot of people that thought, you know, Jesus, that's incredible, and look at the transformation, and he's got abs and all this kind of thing, you know. So it was great. It kind of gave me a bit of a push as well to think, well, I'm wanting to maybe do a show, some sort of show stage thing in a couple of years' time, because I thought, the photo shoot was great. Because even the photographer, well, you were there yourself, and mind the photographer, when I took the zip down the top because he wanted to check to see what he was dealing with to make sure the lighting was fine, and he thought, we're not going to have any issues taking photos of this.
Yeah, you're making him sound a lot nicer than he was. He kind of came over to us and he was like, all right boys, you have done this before, I've got myself in amazing shape, and I was like, and I knew, because I knew how lean you were, I was like stood there like, you didn't get like this. But we'll listen to you. We'll hear your story. We heard him out. He showed us some photographs. And then I just watched him because Graeme had like a zip hoodie on, and the guy was like, "Right, you ready to start getting pumped up in that now?" And I was like, "Right, come on, we'll get some jelly sweets, putting some sugar into him, and put some carbs in." We started doing a bit of a pump up, and I was like, "Right, Graeme, let's like take it off." Zipped it, and I just remember the photographer's face, and like you say, he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have no problem shooting this," and I just knew, like I was like, "Yeah." And do you remember I said to you before the photo shoot, I was like, "Graeme, what I'm most excited about is seeing your face when you see the first photograph."
Yeah, they were amazing. It was like you said that, and as soon as you showed it, and I was like, wow. It was like I didn't know what to say, because I was like, no way that's me. I thought he must have done something to make that, and I thought, well, it was there. But even he was doing it. I mean, the photographer now and then was taking the photos, and you just heard him going, Jesus Christ, and holy crap, and all that kind of thing, because he was just absolutely blown away by it as well. And I thought, that's great, yeah, because I wasn't expecting such a, like a response like that. It was fantastic. So, but it was. But you get that thing as well. People will ask you, like, it says, "Oh, it must be a lot of hard work," but I don't think it was too bad. But then maybe it's because it was the way I did it. I didn't do it as a drastic cut. I didn't think, "Oh, I'm going to get into this shape in 6 weeks," when realistically, me and you know that would have probably been maybe impossible to do. It's a bit. It would have been tough. So.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of wanting to talk a bit more about, like about the process, and because we were constantly saying like there was only a few days where you felt like you were really that hungry, and I guess one of the benefits is like we worked together so long, so like you're great at feeding back to me, being like, "Tom, I've got this on," and we would make it fit in, because people that are listening, believe it or not, Graeme did we have a barbecue throughout the 16 weeks?
Yeah, I was away at a few things. There was a few events on where I basically was away for like 3-course meals at dinners and all that kind of thing. There was a few parties I had to go to, and I mean there was even like there was I think was it an 18th, and it was at the World Buffet place in Aberdeen, Cosmos. And I was like, I had less than 3 weeks before my shoot, and I was like, what am I meant to do here? I'm going to a World Buffet 4 weeks before I meant, and it would be so. But we worked around it, like you says. You adapt to what you're doing and all that, and it worked out fine. So, but then that's maybe because the process, that we went with it was a slower process. So I was, you said yourself, when we were doing it, you wanted me to be ready. 3 or 4 weeks before the shoot, so we were able to play around. So yeah, it was good because I was able to get. I've also got yourself. I've got the micro camper, so I was even able to go away in that a few days and still make all my meal preps and all that when I was away in it. So it was fine. So.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the people? I don't know if you'll remember exact, and if you can, and if we want them, I can pull them up. But can you remember like how drastically we cut calories or how low calories got? Can you remember how much cardio we're doing? Do you remember how much steps we were doing?
Was the steps not? I think the steps was it 15,000 steps? I think the lowest we got calories was around 1,600 or so. But then even sometimes you were telling me it was the total flip opposite. You were doing high days, which was almost 3,000 calories, and by that point my body was just burning through that, and it was, it was like nothing's happening. It was like you were expecting a spike in weight, and it was going down more. But what was cardio was? I can't remember how much cardio was. But, I mean, I've always liked cardio, so. I remember you 3 weeks before the shoot telling me to cut cardio out, and I found that difficult because I liked it, and you said, "Oh, just go for a brisk walk on the treadmill," and I hated that because I was like, I don't like this. I want to do the cardio, but I had to do it because I thought I'm not obviously going to mess this up so close. But I would have said the reverse side I actually found harder. I would have said than going into the cut. I found that difficult but then that's probably because you wanted to keep this kind of physique for as long as you could. But at the same time, it's not sustainable to actually keep that forever. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that a bit
So
difficult. You know, I was.
So what Graeme means by the reverse side of it is he means that once he'd done the photo shoot, so like dieting down towards the photo shoot, and I'll like, having coached Graeme through it, I'll tell you for a fact, like, and Graeme is, and clients have heard this, they've heard me call them the Terminators, and Graeme was the original Terminator. He was the guy that I sent him stuff to do, and there was just no question, he just done it. Like, there was no, oh, do I have to? It was just operation, whatever I asked, he got it done. And he was the original Terminator. And what Graeme found easier was actually going through the process to getting lean, quite comfortable. And I can hand on heart say that, like, we nailed it. Like, we genuinely got everything perfect. Everything that, like, you did worked. Everything that I programmed slotted into place. And, like, we got it on spot on. And we know that, like, the next time we'll get it even better, because we know that high days we could potentially run more of them. We could even push food higher. We definitely will, because you'll gain muscle, but we'll be able to push food even higher to still try and fill you up and make you look bigger. But what Graeme found the hardest was once all the photo shoot had been done and the food was starting to go back up and he started to lose that like shreddedness, that was the hardest part. And Graeme, can you kind of try and give people an idea of like how unsustainable it would be to have the physique that you got for the photo shoot, and then how it felt coming away from it?
Well, I mean, obviously doing it, you didn't really have much. I mean, you had to do stuff. You did have to do your cardio, you had to do your walks, but at the same time, you didn't really want to in a way, because you didn't have really energy to do much. I don't know. I mean, there's other people probably worse out than me on this, but because you obviously kept checking if I was fine on stuff, and you were like, "Oh, are you okay with this?" Yeah, I'm fine with that. So, but coming out of it, I would have said it was harder. But I mean, you notice like things like weights, for example. Like when you're going into it, your weight's not the same. You can't lift the same weights, and you get frustrated when you can't lift it because you think, I could do this. I've done this before, but it's because you've not got the energy, because you've not got obviously the same calorie intake, and you've lost quite a bit of like your fat and I suppose a small amount of muscle, because you do. But coming out of it, it felt weird, because you just didn't want to eat all this, because you're thinking that's like another 500 calories, and I can't eat this. I don't want to eat this. You know, it's like maybe it was a bad time I did it as well. I don't know, because I did it in December. So then as soon as that finished, you were kind of all of a sudden got all these like mince pies and nights out, and people asking you to go out for dinner, and then the next thing it was Christmas and you were eating a Christmas dinner and all this. So yeah, maybe that was a bad idea as well to do it at that time of year. I suppose you've got all the Christmas markets and all this as well, and it's an odd feeling, like just coming out of it. So
yeah, it's a hard one, and like we spoke about it a lot because of what I experienced. Like you and I spoke a lot about like how hard it is, because you're so used to eating so little food, you're so used to wanting to see the scale weight come down, that once you start to go the other way and you start to gain weight, it does start feeling a bit odd. It feels a bit peculiar. I still, like, I tell you this every week when you're checking. On you go.
What was that? I was going to say, it's like, because you said like when I came over and I was like, I'd gain a kilo like in a few days, and I'm freaking out thinking, I've gained a kilo, I've already put a kilo on, and you're telling me that's fine. It's like you're explaining that some people will binge and the next thing they've gained 6 kilos in the space of a week, and I'm thinking, but I suppose I was trying to avoid that, because I thought I don't want to do that, because I thought that would be the wrong thing. I would feel awful. It would be like you've gone from that to then adding 6 kilos on just in the space of like a week or so. So
yeah,
to avoid that.
And I say, and like I was just saying there, like I say to you every week, like you have reversed out of this like unbelievably well, and you and I really do appreciate it. You listen to the podcast and you've heard other people talk about their response to dieting and how they came out and how they had these like insatiable gorges because you were just eating and eating and eating, trying to make yourself feel full, but like you just couldn't. And like you're saying, like the lowest we got was the lowest we got 50 point something.
I think it was was it 51 or just slightly under 51?
Yeah, I think it
We've
was.
gone a wee bit too well. Yeah, we've gone a wee bit too low.
Yeah, we. The thing was though, you were so lean, it was phenomenal.
Yeah,
And like you're saying now, like you're 58 kilos now. So you're actually only like 6 kilos up. But what we tried to do was, and this is for people that are listening that care, we tried to get Graeme to gain enough body fat to get him back into like healthy, quote unquote, healthy ranges. Because when you're that lean, things don't function like properly. Like hormones, sleep, stress, all these are all over the place. So we tried to get him to gain a lot, like not a lot, but enough body fat so his body could just continue to just work as normal. We tried to control hunger, and we got that in, in check pretty quick, didn't we?
yeah, yeah, we did.
And
I'm trying to think when it was. Uh,
I think it was like middle of January. Honestly, I think you got it sorted really fast. I think we allowed you to have like a couple of weeks where you were having like 2 days off to just kind of do what you want, and then we would have like 500 calories more than what we were eating, and then that increased, and we were just seeing like small jump ups. Like it was like a kilo and a bit, kilo, and you were like, "Oh God, Tom, I shouldn't be gaining this fast," and you were like getting a bit like I can remember, and even over the festive
yeah,
period, I think over the whole of December, I think we only gained like, was it not like 3-4 kilos? Like it was like I was trying to get you to eat
I think
more.
so. Yeah, yeah, I think it was. Yeah, because you were telling me like, oh, just enjoy yourself. If you're going to a party or you're going out, just enjoy it. But I still had in my head, it's like, yeah, don't kick the arse out of it. Don't go and turn that large pizza and have all these drinks and then go and have that like tub of ice cream. It was still in your head because I think because I'd done the cut for so long, you were still thinking, yeah, don't do that. That's stupid. That's silly. Um, so yeah, I mean,
And
I took a
I
while to
think
get
that's like
back
a
on it.
healthy
Then, like you says,
mindset.
I think, yeah. But then, like you says, it was like it definitely was after Christmas and New Year before I started feeling a bit like, yeah, I've come out of this now. I'm fine. I can adapt to it. I'm not really too fussed.
Yeah. If what are some of the bits of advice you would give someone that's maybe thinking about doing a photo shoot themselves?
Um, I would say just definitely go for it. It's like it's just you and the photographer at the end of the day taking photos, and you don't need to publish them. You can just keep them for yourself, and it's something you can look back on. I mean, I remember when I originally did this, and I was thinking I'm doing a photo shoot, and I thought, yeah, I'm just going to keep this for myself. But then I thought, no, I'll put it on social media, because it'll remind me every year what I've done, and then it got that response it did. But originally I was just going to keep it for myself. But there's also other bits, I suppose, when I go through it and you're thinking, well, other people look at you and think, what's he doing? And there's other people in the gym and all this. But then I thought, no, I've worked hard for this. I thought, I'm sure other people will not mind. So yeah, if you're going to do it, just go for it. It's fantastic. You can look back on it and think, I've done that. It's and yeah, you only get to do it once, I suppose, and that's it. So
Yeah. I think it's class. I think people should. I think
definitely,
people should definitely try.
yeah, definitely do your way though, because I mean, obviously, I would have said if I did that as a drastic cut, I think that may have, I don't know, I may have given up on it. I'm not sure because I never did it that way. I suppose somebody that's maybe done it that way, they might say, well, try it as a slow approach where you can still, cut the weight, but still have a bit of a life. So you can still do all these.
Yeah.
Like if I want to go to, into a party and have some drinks, that's fine. If you want to go out for a meal with somebody because it's their birthday, go for it. But I mean, obviously, if you're doing it like a drastic, like say 2 months or something like that, and you're trying to lose weight, then it's maybe a bit. Yeah, you may push yourself a bit too much.
That was going to be my next question. Like, how much did the diet impact like regular life?
Not as much as I thought it would. I mean, like I remember going to like fights and going out for drinks and all that. But at the same time, I did watch what I was doing. I wasn't like if I did go, say if somebody was saying, "Do you want to go out for a few drinks?" I would go out, but there was sometimes it would be, instead of having alcoholic drinks, I would have just had like a diet, Pepsi or something like that. And I remember being, I think it was November, just like literally 2 weeks before the shoot. Some of the kettlebell class were going out to Spoons for a few drinks and something to eat. I thought, do I go? Do I not? I thought, I'll go, but I'll just have like some soft drinks. So I remember having a bowl of salad and like basically a few Pepsi Maxes and all this. But then people are like, how can you do that? How can you go out and not just say, screw it, I'm going to have a drink, pass me a beer or something like that. But I suppose it's a determination thing. If you set your goal and you want to get to that goal, you'll do everything to make sure you get it. So
yeah, totally. And you've got determination in abundance. I guess there's a lot of people as well that'll be listening that'll probably they potentially won't ever do what you've done. And I've given you the credit for what you've done and explained to you why it's so amazing and like how few people will manage to do that. How would you describe what losing a lot of fat feels like?
At the start, you didn't notice it. Near it, I suppose, because you lose it gradually. Well, I lost it gradually. I didn't really notice it that much, and it wasn't until you start looking back on, before and after kind of photos, you start to think, oh wait, I've lost quite a bit here, and then obviously like I've done the shoot, and now I can look back on the shoot and say, well, look at that compared to what I look now. I thought, yeah, that was quite, a massive change. But no, I don't know. I suppose, because it was gradual, you didn't really feel it, and it wasn't like a hard process. So
yeah, we definitely done it right. We nailed it. We absolutely nailed it. I honestly, the thing that I think a lot of people would like to hear more about, or if you can talk, is like about the process, about going through it, and about experiencing the calorie deficit and understanding it. Like, what were some of the things potentially that, like you were saying there were people trying to say to you, oh, how can you do that? Did you feel that majority of people around you were supportive, or was it like alien to them? Were they a bit confused, or like not sure why you were doing it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't really understand why I was doing it. They just thought, well, what's the point in this? But it's, yeah, even my partner, he even says, oh, I don't get why you're doing that, and why can't you just go out and have something to eat and all this kind of thing. And I'm watching my calories and thinking that I can't eat this, and I have to make sure I'm under this calories, and that's got too much fat in it, and this is going to be, if I eat this thing, that means I'm not got anything else to eat for the day,
Yeah.
But then you get that thing where some people then chase it, don't they? Because then they'll be like, oh, I've accidentally eaten like 500 calories more than what I should be eating, so I'm going to jump on a treadmill for the next hour and try and lose this. It's like, don't. It's just like, just carry on, do the next day, and eventually it'll fix itself over time. Just don't worry about it. So
yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people don't really understand what you're doing. But then I suppose it's similar to anything else you're doing. If you're wanting to add size, you've got to obviously at the same time add some fat. And then people are like, oh, you're getting a bit, fat there and all that. But at the same time you think, no, I know what I'm doing, just wait and see. And then you start doing the cut and they're like, oh, what are you doing that for? Why are you not having this? And that just sounds boring. And you're just like chicken and salad or something like that. But then they'll see the end result and they think, you get people saying, oh yeah, I want to do that and I want to join the gym, and you think, it's great that they're wanting to do it, but you also feel like it's not everyone can do that, which is a shame to say, I suppose, because you would love it if everybody could do it, but some people they'll try it and then just give up because they feel it's too hard. So, but I think it's because they push themselves too quick.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. So would you definitely recommend to people that they just take their time?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you'll get all the things. You'll see, like, you'll go on Instagram or something, or social media, and you'll see all these, like, oh, you can cut this, you can do that. This is how I did it. But the problem with that is there's a few issues. It's either that person's been doing it for years, they know what they're doing, or they're cheating. They're, like if somebody say adding size, and you think I can add that size, they do that. But then the next thing you discover is they've been on steroids, but they've not bothered to tell you that.
Yeah.
And you're thinking,
yeah,
well, that's unfair, because you're promoting something to get there. So yeah, but I would just say take your time, and get there. And if you if you do mess up and you do have a day where you think, oh, I've just gone and eaten, X amount more calories than I should have done, then just go back on it. Don't think, oh, that's it, ruined, out the window. I'm just going to now eat another tub of ice cream the following day, and I'll start back in a week's time. So just go back on your plan that you originally were on. It'll fix itself over time. Definitely a slower process is better, I'd say.
Yeah.
Problem there though is some people don't want a so slow process. You know that yourself though. You'll probably get a lot of people coming up to you because you've been what you do in your industry, and somebody's like, "Oh, I want to be like this in 3 weeks' time." And you're like, "That's not happening."
Yeah. And I think that's some of the soundest advice you could possibly give anybody, Graeme. Genuinely. And with that, let's move on. Like, what are your current training goals? What is it you're currently working towards?
Currently I'm adding more size at the moment, but I'm also wanting to do a powerlifting comp at the warehouse in November. So I'm trying to basically increase my strength, so that when I get to that, then I can obviously do, hopefully freakishly, weights at lifting. So we'll see what happens there. So, I mean, at the moment it's going pretty well, but at the same time I don't want to do it where I'm gaining loads of fat for it. I would rather still have a bit of leanness to it at the same time. So so it's just add a bit more size and get a bit more stronger, and then do this comp, and then the following year I'll probably just be adding I suppose a bit more size, and then be looking to eventually do a cut, because I do want to do a men's physique show, so I'm wanting to do that in a couple of years' time, but making sure that if I do this, I'm definitely going to do something in the warmer weather. Yeah.
Hey, and I'm sure everyone's excited to see whatever you do, Graeme, because we both know as well, you are one of the most lovely blokes ever, and you're very, very liked around the gym scene and in with the TS Health and Fitness. Like, we do really appreciate all the support, like genuinely everything that you do. You comment, you like, you speak to everybody, all new clients and members. Like, it's an amazing thing, and I know there are people watching, and there are people looking up to you and thinking, like, what's Graeme going to do next? Because you do extreme things. You're really good at aiming really high and then achieving it, and then thinking, oh well, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And unfortunately, Graeme, it isn't like that. So honestly, I bet everybody's really excited to see what you do. I know you're a busy guy, and I just realised that we've already been talking for an hour. I didn't realise we've been talking that long already. I'm gonna wrap this up with a question that I ask everybody, and we spoke about this during the session. We spoke about it during the session, and I just want to hear what you think. What do you think it takes to be a good man, or what do you think are some of the traits potentially a good man would have?
Don't stress yourself in life. I would say just enjoy what you do and all that. And I told you this would be a hard one to actually think of properly.
Hey, if that's what you think, like, don't stress and like what you do, that's like good. They're good answers.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like just enjoy yourself. I mean, life's too short as well, so I mean, don't get yourself worked up over something. If everybody learns from mistakes, and and it's you're here one minute, you're gone the next, and then nobody remembers you really. I mean, it's one of the things. So enjoy your life. Do what you want to do. It's if you want to do this, then go for it. If you want to play computer games or drive cars and culture or travel or that, go for it. It's your life.
Hey, mate, Graeme, that's fantastic advice. I've really, really appreciated having you on. I love talking to you every week anyway, and I think you've come across brilliantly as well today, and I think a lot of people will be on the same page as me, and we are excited to see what you're going to achieve in the next couple of years. But honestly, Graeme, thanks so much for coming on. I'll try and tag. In fact, I'll add a link to Graeme's photo shoot photos from my page. And if you do have any questions for Graeme, please do shoot them down below. And what I'll do is I'll either ask them to him at the end of a training session, and we'll jump on Instagram or something and record his answers. But honestly, Graeme, thank you so much for that. It really does mean a lot.
You're welcome. No problem.